Welcome to Learning to Glow, a show about wellness, skin health, and self-development. I'm your host, Jess. I'm a mom, entrepreneur, and skincare expert. I'm so excited to share tips on how to achieve healthy skin and bring amazing guests in the field of health, fitness, aging gracefully, and personal growth. Let's explore all different ways we can take care of ourselves as women, both inside and out, to truly shine. So let's get glowing. Hello and welcome to this week's episode and welcome to the podcast. Today we have Eleana Palomino with the Elevate Your Life podcast. Her passion is sharing valuable insights and conversations from inspiring guests and helping everyday women elevate their lives in all areas, from personal development and spirituality to motherhood and women's health. Her show is dedicated to learning and growing together, which is exactly what we like to do here at Learning to Glow. And I was so happy that I met Eleana online and we were able to connect and have her on my podcast because we love to talk about the same things. And we had such a great conversation all the way back from her experience in pageant life when she was a teenager and how that helped her step out of her comfort zone and grow as a person. She shares how her wellness and health journey shifted after becoming a mom. We talked about so much more as well. You can find her on Instagram at Elevate with Eleana and follow her wonderful podcast. I will link all of this in the show notes to make it easy for you. Last week, I mentioned our spring sale was approaching for Simply Skincare. It is now live, and this is a perfect time to try out our line. If you are looking or if you've been thinking about trying something that is really great for all skin types, natural, clean ingredients, now's the time with our sale coming up. You can go to our website, which is simplyjessskincare.com. And some people like to tweak their regimens at this time of year. You know, the sun is shining a little bit more. So I always like to recommend add in those antioxidants. Make sure you're using a vitamin C. Maybe you use a little less product or switch the way that you're using it because it's not as dry and cold where you live. If you ever need help with regimen advice or just skincare advice in general, you can reach out to us at hello@simplyjessskincare.com and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. So I hope you enjoy this episode and the great takeaways. There's many. And please share it with someone. If there is someone in your life who you think could benefit from this episode, please share it with a friend or a family member, maybe a mom, a new mom in your life. And thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the episode. Hello, Eleana. How are you? Thank you so much for being here today with me.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited. We have become new friends online, and you have an amazing podcast, which is where I found you. So your podcast is Elevate Your Life, and you are talking about all the things we love to talk about here too. You're a mom, you love wellness, and we're going to talk about some of that fun stuff today. But first, if you could just share a little bit more about yourself and your journey to how you got here, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that amazing intro. Yeah, we did meet online, and that's one of my favorite places to find people because if you're not, in the community and out in the world, then you're in the online world. And that's where you also can find amazing friends and people that you genuinely connect with and are aligned. So I love that. A little about myself. So I consider myself a gal that always colored outside of the lines. I never liked to follow the rules. I was never a good rule follower. And I had a lot of friction amongst my family growing up, which is why I ended up kind of forging my own path. I never wanted to follow in the family footsteps. I believed that, we're here to discover what is true to us, not what someone tells me because they want that for me, but does that feel authentic to me? And doesn't mean I've succeeded all the times because it's trial and error. You have to learn your own way. And that's that stubborn part of me. But it's allowed me to forge a lot of the experiences I've had in starting businesses, understanding that I love entrepreneurship. I love helping women. I love connecting with women. When I was young, I did a pageant and I discovered one of my gifts were in aligning with youth and helping women realize that you're not a product of your environment. You take that and you become, the good and the bad from it. But then from there, you continue to build off of that, right? So that has continued to follow me, which is where I found some resistance after a couple of years in corporate. And after becoming a mom, I realized that these puzzle pieces weren't fitting anymore with the direction I wanted to continue to go in my life. And my husband was super supportive. He actually purchased my podcast equipment for me a year and a half before I even opened the box. It sat there because there was no bandwidth. I was, in a high position in a finance firm, and you're doing the do every day, every Monday, every Friday. And then becoming a mom, you add that layer into it, and there's just, no more bandwidth after that. And so something had to give, and we realized that I was so out of alignment, and it just started to feel like massive burnout. And, talking about wellness, I wasn't prioritizing any part of my wellness. And that also started to take a hit and a toll within my own self and how I was showing up every day. And it was affecting my performance, which was unlike me. So something had to give, and we ended up shifting gears, launching our own business. I started my podcast, and that was towards the Q3 of 2023. And it's been an amazing journey ever since. So I feel like I gained myself back. So some cliff notes there on a little bit about myself and where we're
I
at.
love that. I love that so much. Tell me a little bit about the pageant, because going into that pageant environment, how did that affect your mind? Because I can imagine, I know you have a good head on your shoulders now, but were you always in that mindset place, and how did that affect you? You're stunning. You're absolutely stunning. Tell us a little bit about that life.
Yeah, so I didn't grow up doing pageants. I wasn't like the 6-year-old on stage or the 12-year-old, but it just came to me when I was 17, actually. I went to my mom and I was like, I would love to do something like this. And it was kind of a now or never moment because I didn't want to be competing with girls that were in their mid 20s. If I waited another year and I was 18, then you're competing with girls up to 25. And I didn't want to be on the bottom of the tadpole. So I was like, I'm 17. I think we should do it like now. Let's find an organization because there's so many out there, and it really depends on what you're looking to achieve. Is it like modeling? Is it scholarship? Is it community philanthropy? Like, what is it that you're trying to aim towards? And then you find an organization that's aligned with those things. So we ended up finding the Miss Teen America organization, and this was back in 2011, actually. And I became Miss Florida Teen America. And then about 4 months later was the national pageant for Miss Teen America. And I would be competing with all 50 states with girls that were doing this for their entire life, right? And like dealing with the pageant moms and girls that know how to talk and know how to walk and, all of those things that I wasn't super confident in. So what we did was I partnered with the Chamber of Commerce. And there was somebody that I locked arms with as my mentor, and she was in politics. She was our current House of Representatives. So she knew everybody in the community and took me everywhere with her. And so that was kind of my mentor. And what I did to train myself to build up that confidence within me was literally going everywhere that I could and break out of my shell. So in a 90-day period, I did over 76 appearances.
Whoa.
At 17 years old, as a junior in high school, because I had a drive. I had a goal. I had a purpose. I was driven with direction. My mom didn't tell me where to go, what events I had going on today. I was telling her the time I'll be home for dinner, because I have all these things to do. And that was exciting. It was a thrill to be in the community doing something meaningful, with purpose. And then I started speaking to youth. So how that translated on stage was, even though I don't have the years of experience in pageantry, I know what I'm here for. I know the mission I'm serving because of the people that I've talked to that are behind me in my community that I want to continue to serve on a greater scale if I win a national title, and I can go do that amongst all the states outside of just my own. And I truly believe that that confidence within my own mission is what was amplified on stage, right? That it was bigger than me. It wasn't about me. And yes, God blessed me with beautiful features, but it wasn't about me pursuing my own selfish, path. The photo shoots were a part of the package, but it was more about I want to be in the rooms with the girls who don't feel like they're worth it. I want to be in the rooms with the daughters that can never amount to the perfection that their parents are putting
Mm.
on them. And I want to help those girls.
Oh, that's amazing. I can't imagine having I mean it's really like the best experience what you did because you're speaking public speaking, you're meeting people like it there's so many life skills that you got at such a young age being in high school. That's such an incredible experience. How did that like help you as you moved forward? Because I know you said you ended up going into a corporate position. Do you feel like those are things that you really were able to make a skill and take with you?
Hmm. I was actually. And it's interesting you asked me that question because, when I was in the interview process, right, for a couple points in my life, you recognize certain things stick with you. And what stuck with me was, like you said, the public speaking, learning how to be interviewed, how to answer questions, how to engage with adults, right? When you're a teenager, most teenagers don't really know how to engage in conversation and be engaged with older adults. So I kind of learned how to do that. And then that continued in college, even as I mentioned, I started businesses early on. I partnered with folks that were very seasoned in business, and it just continued to unfold in a way that showed me I can walk into any room and know how to start a conversation with someone and it goes somewhere, right? Um, and then, of course, learning how to present
Mhm.
yourself, having the tools to pick yourself up. Where did that confidence come from? Something bigger than me. So that always helped me kind of get through no matter what season of life I'm in and deal with, that imposter syndrome that comes up because as you get older, your dreams become bigger and bigger, right? When you realize what's actually possible in life, you don't stop yourself short, you just keep going. So I've recognized how to match myself with where I was in that place and time and to allow myself to continue to grow and not stunt my growth because we lack the confidence or we doubt ourselves. If you doubt yourself, you're not going to shine.
It's so oh, that's so good. It reminds me of just having first of all, public speaking is the most feared thing. I mean, maybe dying, but like then it's public speaking. So, and to it is very much a difficult thing to do and to like you said, it a lot of it's your mindset because if you're not confident going out on a stage or standing up in a room even, I've been nervous in a room with 3 people speaking, so it doesn't matter like the size. Like it is such a great skill to be able to do something. And this goes for anything, like do something that's really hard and you really don't want to do it and you're sweating to that after you're done feeling of just like accomplishment. And then that's like how we build confidence. It's doing these things, getting through it, even if you weren't great at it, and just knowing like I didn't die. I made it out. It was just something that I think when it comes to personal growth and all the things that we are trying to do and help teach our kids, it is just doing things that are scary and doing things
Mm,
that we haven't done before. And then it gives you confidence to be able to try other things in other areas of our life.
exactly. So one of the things that helped me because just because I find a gift in public speaking doesn't mean those nerves don't come
Right.
up. And even, women that I look up to that run conferences, that regularly speak to large audiences, like tens of thousands of women, they openly shared they have nerves. And one of the women specifically, I was in the audience for one of these events. She goes, "You guys, I need you to know that I'm scared right now." And she called herself out. Why? Because we're all human and we would all be feeling the exact same way. So it helped her calm her nerves down. And for me, what I would tell myself is nervousness and excitement in the body feel the same.
Mhm.
So if I can transform, okay, these, I can't change the way my nerves are feeling, but I can tell myself that something good's going to come out of it. It's exciting. And that raised my vibration to not feel the fear, but to feel the excitement that something good's going to come out of this. And then the second part is recognizing it's bigger than you. When it's bigger than you don't make it about you anymore. So you allow yourself to get through it and not get stuck in it.
I love that. That is so true. It's like, I don't want to do something because I'm scared. Oh, wait, that could prevent me from helping someone. And so, yeah, taking the focus off of you and putting it on to who you're going to help or who you could influence in a positive way, that definitely takes that shift. I love what you said too about instead of feeling like saying I'm so scared or I'm so nervous and kind of switching it to I'm so excited, because that is true. And I think that makes it a little bit more fun. And to also know it's just a feeling in our body. It might be a little uncomfortable, but it's okay. Like that, just realizing like and calling it out, like that woman that was speaking, I'm scared, or just saying it like, this is, oh, I feel my stomach is in knots, and just like talking about it. I feel like that helps with your nerves as well. And like just going, okay, no big deal. I might need a little deodorant after this, but I'm going to live. When I first started my wellness journey, I had already been in the skincare industry for years, working on client skin and as an educator for multiple skincare brands. When I learned about how the toxins in our personal care and beauty products could have a negative impact on our health, I knew I needed to make a change. I was used to the result-driven products that I was working with, and I was not happy with the natural products on the market at that time. Although they were safer and cleaner, they did not meet my expectations for results. I created Simply Just Skincare to deliver the results my clients demanded from their products while using natural, toxin-free ingredients. You can check out my clients' results and reviews on my website, simplyjessskincare.com. In 30 days, my clients have reported more hydrated skin, less appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, and more of an overall glow. Our top sellers include our Repair Toner, our Hydrating Undo Serum with hyaluronic acid, and more. I am offering my listeners 20% off their first order with code PODCAST. Check it out in the link in my show notes to get glowing today. I'd love to talk a little bit more about, you talked about feeling that burnout. So you started as you were a little older, you started working in corporate. And when did you realize I need to start like maybe in utilizing some self-care or wellness in my life? Or were you doing it, but just not enough? Or like, talk to us about that point in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my wellness journey began, so I had very few people in my family who exemplified wellness, right? Living healthy, exercising. I was that kid that went to Barnes and Noble and bought the exercise book to teach myself because I saw it as important. And then in college, I went through different years okay, so this year was all about, I got a personal trainer, I lost all my weight, I went through a weight loss journey. And then from there, I started teaching myself how to maintain and then diving into different avenues amongst that, whether it was like getting rid of the fad diets, because I went down the rabbit hole, like the no sugar, no carb, keto, all that stuff, realizing it's terrible for you. So then like whole foods, whole ingredients, and then realizing, wow, I've never had a skincare routine. I would love to incorporate that. What does that look like for me? So I went through different years in diving through different things, understanding what works for me, what do I like, how does it make my body feel. So now having all that as my foundation and maintaining my exercise routines and going into corporate, it can be very easy to immerse yourself to the point where everything else goes by the wayside. Like all of a sudden, there's no more time for anything else because your mental capacity is just so overwhelmed. And someone like me, who's an empath, highly sensitive, who loves on people, shows up with 100% of her energy every day for what she's doing, it can cause burnout in the end if you're not balancing it and filling your cup. So if you're constantly giving, giving, and giving and not filling your cup, that equals burnout over time. So I did what I could to maintain, like I had my evening skincare routine that I would do. Workouts were very hit or miss. And then when I had my son, I tried to incorporate as much as I could, like even if it was 15 minutes while I had him in the baby carrier, doing my squats with him, or just if it was going for a neighborhood walk, right? Just something to fill my cup and decompress from the day. But the consistency aspect was difficult, I will say.
Yeah, I know. I want to talk a little bit more about how it changed when you became a mom too, because and I love what you said, just to circle back to the whole foods, and that's like your culture. You're Greek. Like I've been to Greece. Your food is not only like incredibly delicious, but it is so healthy. It all those healthy fats and those fresh foods. Like I ate like a queen when I was in Greece, and like I can remember like sitting down to certain meals, and I remember like everything that was on my plate because I was like, I want to do this when I get back. It was the first time I ever had Greek yogurt. And it was
Ah,
way before Greek yogurt was like popular here in the States. It was like I think I was there in 2001. So the first time we sat down, it was dessert, and they brought us like this big thing of Greek yogurt with honey and like warmed, I think they were like walnuts. And my girlfriend and I looked at each other like, this is insane. This is the best thing ever. Sorry, that was a side note. Anything I can do to talk about Greece, I'm like so happy to do that. But tell us a little bit more about, taking that time for yourself and getting it in when you can as a mom. And also, this is something that you talk about, and I've heard you talk about on your podcast, rest. And it's hard for us as moms, like you said, especially if you're someone who is very empathetic and loves to take care and nurture the people around you. So I give you a lot there. So sorry.
yeah, yeah. So okay, so yeah, I am Greek. I love my culture, and I grew up eating all of the foods. Like my grandma was the cook in the family. But since I started cooking on my own, I actually love to venture out and cook different cuisines. I don't like to just stick to one because my upbringing, it was just Greek food. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna just do that for my own family one day. So, but yeah, no, the food is amazing and so rich and flavorful. And it made me not afraid to eat. I
Yes.
think some women can be afraid to eat, or eating the variety of foods and seeing what works for your body. You just, everything in moderation, right?
Right.
You can never have enough olive oil as well.
Right. It's like that healthy fat is that Mediterranean diet is what everybody talks about now. So it has so many health benefits.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. So when I became a mom, everything changes like literally overnight. And even going back to what you were saying with the nerves, right? And talking about being scared or excited. I recall when I was pregnant, my husband looked at me randomly one day and was like, "Are you nervous about having this baby? Like delivering this baby?" And I looked at him and I was like, "No, I'm excited." I've never done this before, but why be scared when I can be excited about it and go through it with that mentality, because the other one is not going to serve me well. And I carried that on after we had our son, in recognizing, okay, I used to have all this time to myself. Now that my time to myself has shifted, how can I still make this exciting? Otherwise, it's not going to be a good experience. And especially going back to work after 3 months as well. So I had to figure out, okay, I'm going to make a point no matter what. When my workday ends, I'm going to take him for a walk. And that's our time to spend together. It's our time to bond, enjoy the sunset because it's around that time of day, anyways. See some of the neighbors that are walking in the street, and that's my social hour. You don't get out as much anymore, especially because I was working from home too. So that was really important. Finding something that you can look forward to every day and knowing that you have the ownership over the mentality that you go into every day and depending on the season of your life. Um, Now at this point, right, to me, what's so important, you mentioned rest. I used to go to bed very late and it did not serve me well. I was starting my day with an empty cup because I didn't have sufficient rest. And I truly believe if you can adjust or tweak one thing to give yourself more energy, have a better outlook in your day, it would be to get sufficient rest. So I've now scaled back my bedtime and have discipline within myself now to say, nope, I can't watch another episode with you, my love, because it's my bedtime. Or, whatever we have going on in the evening, I ensure that I'm in bed now early enough so that I can get those 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and I can do anything with 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Can't we
I know
all?
you feel like Superwoman when you've had a good night of sleep. I think that's true. And I know I have friends who will listen to this and laugh because my bedtime keeps getting earlier and earlier. I kind of have gotten to the place now where, even dealing with, I've had some health issues that bring on extreme fatigue. It's like, it's not smart of me to do anything but prioritize my sleep. And I always look at it like, I would rather, like, what would I rather have? Like a late night or like an amazing morning? I really like my mornings. And, we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but having that time without anyone up, and like having that time in the morning where you're like alone and you can really just be with you and have that time is like, I think one of my most favorite things that I have started to prioritize. And, I have two boys, and this morning, once they were up, they were like running around my house and riling up the dog. And there was laughter, shrieking, barking. And I was like, oh my gosh, at least I had some time to myself this morning because I felt like more grounded. If I would have just woke up to that, I think it would have kicked off a little bit of an annoying day for me. I love all that. One of the things that I would love to ask you is, and I know this has to do with mindset because you've done such a good job of sharing how like little mindset, I don't know, hacks maybe, but like just the ways to reframe things can really change your experience. And so can you give us some tips and like maybe even some examples of what you do in your day that help you with making sure you have that time, that you're adding in that self-care for yourself where you can, and especially because I know you have a young son, and ways that you can kind of look at it as, help using your mindset really to help you make sure that you get those things done and prioritize them.
Mhm. Yeah, it's such a great question because as women, there's so many things that go into our day that, we are required to do for others. And when it comes down to it, there is not much time left for what we allocate for ourselves. So if you do have the capability to set aside time for exercise, right? Oh, let me scale back. First of all, it comes down to connecting with your mind, body, and spirit. As a human, those are the three things we're comprised of. If you find anything else outside of those three things, you let me know. But simply put, you must connect with your mind, with your body, with your soul, whether it's for 5 minutes in your day, 10 minutes in your day, or an hour in your day, at any point in your day, before the family wakes up, after they go to bed, or at some point in the middle of your day. And what I realized is there's never going to be a perfect time to do this. And for me, what I've done to incorporate this connection with myself, which helps me be more grounded, which helped me be less irritable. It allows me to show up for my family as the best version of me, as the best wife I can be, as the best mother and friend I can be, colleague I can be. And that is, you make it work with what you have. So if I know I'm driving on the road, every morning for 20 minutes, I'm either going to put a podcast on to fill my mind with something educational or valuable, or I'm going to call a friend that I haven't spoke to in a while and tune into my community. When I get home and I'm walking my dog, I actually pause and I face the sun and I allow the sun to just radiate on my skin and give me energy for those 5 minutes. These are the small things that you can do. You know how many times a day you plug in your phone to recharge it because the battery starts running low? This is what you can do to recharge yourself throughout the day when your battery runs low. When you start to notice those pockets of time that you have, you start to fill them in with things that are going to be filling you up. So That's what I would say my best tip
I
is.
love that. That's so important because that shows everyone listening, and especially, I say moms, but really I mean moms of younger children and children that are dependent on us, because you can be a mom with an independent child. It's different. But it shows us that you don't have to take hours to do this. You don't have, it doesn't have to be at 5 a.m. It can be when it works for you, and it can be a few minutes, and really checking in a few times a day with you and like doing a few things that can light you up can make such a big impact on your day, and just like how you feel. It's just amazing. You have shared so many awesome tips with us, and thank you for sharing your story and all of the reminders that things, a lot of us, some we know that we need to do these things and take the time to do these things, but we just let it pass by and we don't take the time. So it's such a good reminder. I appreciate you. So if you could tell us where everyone can find you and about your podcast, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So you guys can find me on social media at Elevate with Eliana. And you can tune into my podcast and hear our episode together
Yay!
alongside of Jess at Elevate Your Life with Eleana Palomino.
Thank you. Yes, we have a episode coming out soon. I can't wait. I'm so happy that we met and connected. And I love just one more thing that about what you said earlier, that connection. Even if it's just a friend that you haven't spoken to, making a quick phone call when you're driving and like checking in. I have a few friends who actually call me. A lot of people, we're so used to texting. It's so easy. It's great. There's nothing wrong with texting, but I know that there's a few people that I can expect a phone call from, and it is just like a different connection, to actually hear somebody's voice, and we are so busy. So to actually be able to like have a few minutes to talk to a friend is a great gift.
Yeah. And one thing on that, as technology has
Yeah.
evolved, our currency has shifted from exchanging money to us exchanging our attention. So we pay others with our attention that we give them because time is our biggest commodity. And so when somebody literally stops what they're doing in their day to pick up the phone and call you, it's like, wow. Why? Because no one has 5 minutes anymore. Literally. We're all so busy. And so, yeah, when someone picks up the phone to call you, or even, you're inspired listening to this conversation, even wanting to call that girlfriend and check in on her, check in on her. Let her know that the currency of your attention, she's worthy of that and worthy of those 5 minutes. So
That's beautiful.
thank
That is
you.
beautiful. Yeah, I just heard a study about, there was a mom and daughter, and they were measuring the hormonal level, like the oxytocin, and in these children. So the mom either made a phone call and they heard the voice, or there was a text, and the levels of oxytocin went up when they had a phone call, and the levels actually went down when it was a text. And I was like, wow. I have a teenager now, so it's like, okay, it is interesting to know that kids, even especially even teenagers who act like they don't want to connect, they need that connection. They thrive on
Mhm.
it too. So such a good point.
To follow up on that study, there was one I saw in continuation of
Yeah.
that where we respond with emojis instead of actual statements or sentences. And so it's even pulling back the reins on us truly responding to somebody appropriately. Like we've dumbed it down to just responding with an emoji.
Mm,
And when I saw that study, it took me by surprise. I'm guilty of that all the time, like hearting a text or liking it or just responding with a thumbs up or whatnot. It showed me like, wow. And even in return, I'm sure that I would have felt more love or oxytocin rise if I was responded to with an actual sentence, for closure versus just hard
right.
eyes. Right.
Right. It's a good point.
So, yeah, so
Yeah. So
interesting.
go call your girlfriends. Give your mom a call today. And thanks again, Eliana. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please subscribe and review so we can reach more people who want to learn to glow alongside us. See you next time.